Are you sure that NFTs are not a scam done by rich people? It's weird how all of a sudden celebrities and athletes just started to promote those things.
They're not a scam. I can tell you that. I own enough of them. But NFT is a great way for artists, musicians, athletes, and normal people who don't have a traditional sellable talent to go out there and still bring something to market that has value and sell it.
You're listening to a show for those who aren't afraid to admit that they don't know what the hell is going on. This is a safe space to ask any question you may have in order to keep learning and growing every day. Because the truth is, there's no way to know everything. So join me as I talk to people who know a little something about life. But there's a catch. I'll also know nothing about the questions I'm going to ask. Just like in school when there was a suggestion box that the teacher would read out loud, I'll be pulling up the questions without ever seeing them beforehand. Let's just say this should get very interesting. This is Trust Me, I Know Nothing. Wait, what? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Trust Me, I Know Nothing. For this episode, it really it fits the title of the podcast perfectly because we're going to talk about NFTs and I really know nothing about it. So I decided to ask an NFT expert to join me and we're going to talk about NFTs and just basically what are NFTs. So welcome, Steve. Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to jump right into the questions because I really know nothing. So I'm not even going to pretend. First question, why not? Let's start what's an NFT?
Yeah. So an NFT stands for a non-fungible token.
Okay.
Which is really super confusing, but is really just a way of saying you own a verified piece of digital art. So to compare it, we all know about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, all these other ones that are out there. Those are considered fungible. I can buy and sell them. I can buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. I can then take that $1,000 of Bitcoin and buy $1,000 worth of Dogecoin or Ethereum or any other blockchain type currency, and it's constantly changing hands. The value can increase or decrease based on how that crypto is trading on that day. NFT is something different, right? An NFT is kind of like a piece of art or a baseball card. You own a verified, signed, what we call minted version of this electronic art. And that can be a picture, it can be a video, it can be a really clever tweet that I did on Twitter, it can be almost anything. But Ethereum, who is the main person that mints these, has verified that I own something that is verified as real and is what's considered an NFT.
Okay. Wow, I didn't even know you could own a tweet, for example. That's cool. But okay, what do you get? Because I'm such an old school guy. I think I've told you this before. I still buy records. So I need to hold something to know, what are you buying?
You're buying a digital piece of art. Okay. So traditionally, right, NFT started and it was all digital, right? It was you're getting a digital baseball card. That's the best way that I can compare. You're getting a baseball card or a record or whatever. You're getting a digital thing that was signed and verified as being, true and valuable and whatever. And it could be a picture of, something I drew.
Okay.
But it's only digital. You don't have a physical piece. What we've seen happening though in the market in the last 6 or 8 months is people have started saying, I want something physical, right? Just like you said, you collect records, right? People are saying, hey, I need something physical. I need something that I can have value, because just telling someone, hey, I own this NFT that was done by Banksy or whatever doesn't mean anything. People want something they can hang on their wall, they can put on their desk, whatever. So they've started creating physical art pieces to go with it. But those physical art pieces are not the NFT. The NFT is that electronic thing. Okay. All you're doing is getting a piece of art or a stone or something that represents that in the physical world, because so many people have struggled with grasping what is an NFT and
Mhm.
how can I prove I own it. All right, I own several NFTs. They're all very cheap. I can't afford the really expensive ones. But if I told you, hey, I own 3 of the DraftKings March Madness ones, you say, hey, that's cool. Can you show me? Well, I can pull up my wallet and show you them because I have them stored electronically, but I don't have a piece of art or anything that or even a trading card that I could show you. They're only existing in my digital wallet.
Okay. Okay, that actually makes sense. And I know you've kind of mentioned it before, but like, what is the difference between NFTs and other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, so an NFT is the collector piece of art. It's the
Okay.
baseball card, it's the record, it's the limited edition reproduction of a piece of art like the Mona Lisa or something like that. Cryptocurrency, the best way, it's not money.
Okay.
Cryptocurrency is stock. That's really the best comparison. When you buy Bitcoin, right, which is the most well-known and popular, one Bitcoin, I think it's like, I don't know, $15,000, $25,000, something crazy number. Well, most people can't afford to buy a whole Bitcoin. I can't, you can't, right?
Yeah.
We can't afford to buy that, but I can buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and I'm getting, what is that, 1/15th or 1/25th of a Bitcoin. But it's going to mature in value. If I invest $1,000 in Bitcoin, I'm hoping that continues to mature because that value on a one Bitcoin changes multiple times a day. It's like a stock.
Okay.
So cryptocurrency works very, very similar to the stock market. And in fact, if you invest and buy crypto, when you report it on your taxes at the end of the year, you report it just like you would stocks. You report what you purchased it for, what you either sold it for, or any appreciation you took on it, and you got to pay taxes on it.
Okay. And when it comes to NFTs, do they increase value over time?
They can. So just like a piece of art, right? If you purchased, you like records, right? If you purchased a first pressing of Meet the Beatles from 1960, that record in the 60s probably cost a quarter.
Yeah.
Today, a mint condition with the sleeve and everything, non-scratch vinyl first edition is worth like $6,000 or $8,000. NFTs are the same thing. I bought an NFT on DraftKings for March Madness. It cost me $10. I just looked on the resale site yesterday to see what it's going for. It's worth $13. So I've made $3 on my $10 investment in, I don't know, 2.5 weeks. I don't think I'm going to make very much. But there's and that's also, they sold, I don't know, 2,500 of that one that I bought. So there's a big production. But if you were to buy an NFT that say only has 50 or 75 minted versions, it's worth a lot more.
Okay. And it's
just like a limited edition. The more limited, the more it's worth.
Okay. Yeah. That, like the same as art. That makes sense. And do you get a certificate once you buy an NFT, like other than you having it digitally?
No, you don't get a certificate. You don't get a certificate of authenticity like you would with an art piece or a baseball card or anything. It is just digital. Now, if you have an NFT or if you acquire an NFT and you're not sure if it's real, you can go to Ethereum and they can look at the metadata of the NFT and tell you if they minted it. And if it's minted by them or another minting company, they can say, yes, this is real. It's a real NFT. We can give you an email basically saying that you own this NFT and it's real. But if it's just a screenshot or some really talented artist tried to redraw it, it wouldn't be minted. Okay. And therefore, they wouldn't see that in the metadata. So it is stored within the NFT, but it's something you have to know how to find.
Okay, yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Like, if you don't get a certificate, why can't I just like screenshot it?
Yeah, exactly. So the metadata within that file, within the NFT that you own, shows who it was minted by, on what date, and some other criteria about it. And that can't be changed. You can't alter the metadata of that file. It's locked. So that's done in the minting process.
Okay, perfect. And why do you think, like, okay, I don't know if you know where they come from. If you can tell me that, like, who started this and like, why did it become so popular? I would really like that. But like, why did this boom happen right now?
Yeah, no, totally. So it makes a lot of sense. So NFTs started, gosh, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And they started with people who just kind of what we've been talking about. They had these electronic things, whether they were artwork or they were videos, and they wanted to make money off them. But the problem is, and a great example, there was that gentleman up in was it North Dakota or something, or Idaho, who was skateboarding to that song by Fleetwood Mac, drinking a bottle of juice. That was one of the first NFTs that was ever created. The problem is that for him to make money, he had to own the rights to that. And you can't copyright a YouTube video. There's all sorts of weird laws about that. So he took that video of himself that was, 10 or 20 seconds long, and created an NFT out of it so that he could resell his likeness in a way to make money. And that was one of the first times we saw that done. It was the first time we saw electronic media. So in this case, it was a YouTube, or maybe it was an Instagram video, that someone wanted to make money off of their own likeness. And to do that, they had to figure out how to do that electronically. We know how to do that in the physical world, right? You create an original piece of art, you sign it. Maybe you have someone come notarize a piece of paper here in the States that says, hey, yep, Isaac created this piece of art. The notary, swear on the Bible that it's Isaac's real work, whatever. And that's good enough in court. But in the electronic world, that doesn't exist. Yeah. So for NFTs, we had to figure out this thing called minting, which is how we can verify that it's true and original work or authorized reproduction. But then that allows the person who either created the NFT or who owns it to sell it, right? So in the case of that video that with the gentleman skateboarding, he wanted to sell it to Ocean Spray Cranberry, who he happened to be drinking their juice in the video. He wanted to sell it to them and make money off of this viral video he had. And that was one of the first NFTs. There were a few before that, but they were all very similar video-based things. Now we've seen NFTs move from video to audios, to tweets, to electronic images. Not a lot of artists now are drawing things specifically in electronic media. So they're using their iPads or some of those electronic sketching devices and creating digital artwork that they want to have, that is an NFT that they're selling. They don't need to pay to print it. They don't need to pay to have it certified. They pay, $200-300 to mint the thing and create a limited edition, but now they can sell it and it's a certified copy. So that's kind of how NFTs came into being. And it's really only been the last few years as we've seen this huge explosion in digital media.
Yeah, and they became mainstream, and they started to become I just started hearing about NFTs last year, to be honest. And one of the articles I heard, and I don't know if it was real or not, but that Kylie Jenner was blocked from buying NFTs. How does that work? Can you get blocked from buying NFTs?
Absolutely, yeah. Just like any other area of the economy, right? It's a little bit different with NFTs because it's controlled by, at this point, one or two companies. But just like in the baseball, and I use baseball cards a lot as an example because they're really easy to understand. Yeah. In the baseball card world, the guys who own the really good cards, the 1902 Honus Wagner rookie cards, the Mickey Mantle rookie, those guys, there's only a dozen of those that actually exist. And if you get caught trying to pass a fake or you're doing shady business, everyone in that world knows who you are and they blackball you. The same thing happens with NFTs, except this time it's so much easier because they say, well, there's only one or two companies that really oversee the NFT market right now. So if they don't like what you're doing or you're doing something that goes against the way they want to operate their business, it's very easy for them to just blackball you and say, hey, you can't buy and sell NFTs anymore.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And who determines the value of the NFT? Is it similar to stock, or how does that work?
It's similar actually to the baseball cards. I mean, really, that's kind of the best example, right? A little bit baseball card art, really, right? Where we know an artist is going to produce a piece of work. They're going to try and sell the first run of that work for a few $100s. And from there, the value really is dictated by the market. if there's a high demand to own that, and Michael Jordan and Tom Brady have both released NFTs in the last few months, and those sold. They started out at a few. Gosh, I think Brady's was $3,000 or $4,000 each. And the resale market for his is huge because everyone wants to own it. It was a limited run. Jordan, the same thing. People want to own those. They're very desirable collector's pieces. People, NFTs that people are buying from, like I said, that DraftKings one that I bought, right? It was a bigger run. It was only like, $10. It's not got a whole lot of value. Now, maybe in a few years it will, but right now it's not very desirable right now, but it could be. And so kind of like art, kind of like stock, kind of like baseball cards, you're buying it now at what people think is a fair market price, but you're hoping it's going to mature and appreciate in value in years to come.
Okay. And that brings me to the next question. Oh, you're talking about like in the future. What do you think the future of NFTs is?
It's really interesting. NFTs now are becoming very mainstream and people are seeing the value in them. I think what we're going to see is a change in the way we deal with NFTs, and also a change in the way we deal with physical media. I think NFTs are going to change to become more mainstream. I think people will start to view them as, the baseball cards or, collector's art items that we're used to, and they'll start to be a bigger demand. I think you'll start to see more releases happening regularly by artists and by athletes who want to find another way to get their name out there and make some money off of it. The good thing for them is that they don't need, if I'm an athlete, I can create an NFT, I can sell it. I don't need Nike or whatever to help me do that. I can do that myself just on my name alone if I'm a well-recognized athlete. So I think we're going to see a big change in people looking at them and investing in them, which will drive value. I also think we'll see a change where some of the companies that have long supported the legacy collectors, so the baseball card companies like Topps, even some of the art world companies that are out there, are going to start looking at how they can capitalize on NFTs. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that come to fruition, especially in like a card market very, very soon. And I think, really at this point, we're seeing this whole change in digital media. People now are really, really interested in having something not on their wall, but on their phone or on their computer, or something they can show on Facebook or whatever the case may be. And I think we're going to see a big change. But there's still people, Isaac, I think you and I are a little traditionalist. If I buy something, I would like to be able to hang it on my wall. Or have it on my desk or on my bookshelf or whatever the case may be. And I think what we'll start to see is kind of a twofold experience where people can buy an NFT, have it in their digital life to use and show and sell and do whatever they want with. And then for a premium, they may get an authorized reproduction or a stone or something, a physical symbol that they can hold on to as well, because I think that's also part of it too. The challenge obviously then becomes, if I want to sell my NFT, do I just sell the digital piece or do I have to sell the physical thing too? So there's a lot that has to get figured out there. I think this market is just emerging, but I think it's really interesting to see what we're doing and how, our digital footprint is growing now from just sharing my experiences and food pictures and other things that I post on my digital life, but also to owning a piece of the metaverse, right? To owning digital art that only exists in Cyberland.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And for example, I know we talked about this in the past, that some people are actually using NFTs as a way to reward their fans, for example.
Yep.
Do you think this is also gonna go into more of like the mainstream music media, for example, where artists are gonna have like their fans buy an NFT and then give them access to special things? Or
absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and I think about the bands and for example, that I listen to. I've been a member of the band I listen to. I've been a member of their fan club for a long time. I won't say how long. and the longer that I've been a member, every year when they go on tour, I have the ability to buy tickets earlier than other people because I've been a member of this for so long. I
Okay.
think we're going to see NFTs take that over. If I'm a newer artist coming up and I sell an NFT, that may grant you early access to my concerts, maybe better seat selection for my concerts. Maybe it's a unique experience, maybe a pre-show or post-show get together with other people who've bought these. I think the world kind of opens up because I can open up new experiences to a select group of people. If I'm an artist and I want to sell 2 or 3 different NFTs, I can have them each hold different value or different opportunities. Some of them may be as a musician, they may just be ticket opportunities. Some of them could be those meet and greets. Some of them could be a Zoom session, like you and I do, where I get on and I have this intimate one-on-one chat with an artist, but I can only access that by buying their NFT. So there's a lot of opportunity there to really change the market. I think, of all the things we got out of this COVID-19 pandemic, one of the things that really changed is how we interact with each other and with artists. And I think NFTs are a gateway to that. We really now have the opportunity to do things like host a Zoom call with a musician and some of his top fans, because 5 years ago, that wasn't even a thing. 5 years ago, if you had told, any musician out there, hey, you're going to sell this thing for $5,000 a ticket and people are going to get on Zoom from their living room and talk to you, they'd have looked at you like you were crazy. You tell them that now and they're like, cool, how many of those can I do? Because they know the value. I still have this intimate setting, but I can make money at it. And NFTs can be one way to unlock that and be a gateway to it.
Yeah, and right now, as you're talking, I'm thinking it could also be a great way to get rid of or at least control scalpers, because that way, like, you'll only have access to the tickets if you're actually a fan. Like, you can
exactly. I don't know if you'll ever get rid of scalpers. That's just a hard thing to do because of the way the market is. But yes, you're absolutely right. I can now say, well, I'm going to block out the first 2 sections of a venue for all of my real fans, all the guys who are buying my NFT and whatever. And the scalpers, you can have the balcony, but hey, all of that first level, that's all the people who have bought my NFT. Those are the people I'm playing to. The people in the balcony, hey, you're there, but you know what? You bought from a scalper. I'm not getting a kick on that. And it really does change a lot.
Yeah, that actually makes me like the idea a lot more. Okay, another question from the community. Are you sure that NFTs are not a scam done by rich people? It's weird how all of a sudden celebrities and athletes just started to promote those things.
They're not a scam. I can tell you that. I own enough of them. But I mean, this is not everyone's an artist. Not everyone's a musician. Not everyone has something that they can take and sell value. If every one of us could play an instrument or paint a picture, we wouldn't question it, right? You wouldn't question if Tom Brady released, 15 pictures that he painted in the off season and sold them for $10,000 each. No one would question it. As long as it has a little certificate on the back saying, yep, Tom painted it, people will pay thousands of dollars for that. NFT is a great way for artists, musicians, athletes, and normal people who don't have a traditional sellable talent to go out there and still bring something to market that has value and sell it. Me personally, I'm not an artist, not a musician, not an athlete, but I'm okay in the kitchen. So maybe if I made something really good and I thought that was worth selling, whether it was the recipe or an image of how I staged it or something, I could make money off of that because I sure as heck can't do the other things.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say is a way like the average person can make money off on NFTs?
Right now, there's 2 ways. You can buy NFTs. There are NFTs being released pretty much every week by different people. So DraftKings, like I said, they just did a huge release for the March Madness. I think they might even have a few left they haven't released yet. And some of those are as cheap as $10 and as much as a few hundred. Start off with buying a couple small ones. All the ones I've bought have been under $50. I won't spend more than that just because I'm still new to it. I don't want to, invest a lot of money I don't necessarily have. The other way too is if you have something cool that you think is something people want, whether it's a YouTube video, a TikTok you made, an Instagram or an Instagram reel, or something that you think really, something you drew, something that you think is great value and you could sell, you can absolutely mint that yourself through Ethereum and some of the other minting agencies out there. And it'll cost you $100 maybe, and you could sell it. And you can sell those on Etsy. You can sell them on, if you have a Shopify store, you could sell it there. You can sell them, a bunch of different places. And as long as you are minting them correctly, it's completely legal. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think this opens up the ability for all of us who occasionally have those moments of greatness to capitalize on them, because there is an audience out there for it.
Yeah. Okay. And do NFT value transfers internationally? Like, is there like is that regulated?
Yeah, it's not regulated, but it's regulated by Ethereum. So in Ethereum, you can buy anywhere in the world except for North Korea and a few other random places, but let's just say everywhere. And yes, you can buy them, you can sell them, because you're exchanging money in Ethereum. Okay. So if I list it, I may list it in US dollars. I may list something for $15 US on a website. I'm going to do that transaction through Ethereum. So I'm going to sell it for $15. That person's going to purchase it in the equivalent on Ethereum. And you're going completely around the banking system, so to speak. You're kind of going through that crypto market, which is good because then you're not paying markup fees. You're not paying transaction fees and conversion fees. You're just paying straight. What does 15 US dollars convert to in Canada? It's like 70 cents on the dollar. So it might cost you 20 Canadian for that $15 thing, but you can do it right through Ethereum and it's very easy.
Okay. And so Ethereum is like the main platform for this, right?
Yeah. They're like the bank, or if you will, or the bank or the authenticator service for these NFTs.
Okay, perfect. Okay, someone asked, I don't know who this person is, so if you don't know, that's okay. What do you think of Gary V's NFTs?
Gary's NFTs are really cool. What Gary's done is he's kind of taken a different approach. Instead of giving you, a physical piece of art, he's saying, you bought my NFT. And it's kind of like we were talking about those musicians. He's opened up some of these seminars because Gary's real big into business and business strategy. Okay. So he's doing these things where you buy his NFT and you can come in and Gary's going to give you advice. Normally, to go to one of Gary V's seminars, I want to say it might be $1,000 for some of his big ones that he goes to. Now you're buying his NFT, and with that, you get a certain amount of access via these sessions to go and get his advice.
That sounds like a great deal. I think we're almost done with the questions. Okay, yeah, one last question. I think you kind of answered this, but how do you see the NFT market in, 10 to 20 years?
I think for sure it's going to be around. The question really is it going to be as big as the auction and art market that exists today, where we have people who are going to these large auctions spending millions of dollars on things? Maybe. Is it going to be at least as big as what we see with trading cards for baseball and football and basketball? Absolutely. I think it'll be at least that big, and it has the potential to be much bigger. It really all depends on how we see our digital life start to transform in the next few years. Right now, we're on the edge of digital transformation, where we are moving into this, they call it the metaverse, but this online world where everything functions. And if this trend continues, it has the ability to become, a very, very large market. And if it kind of stays the way it is, it's probably at least as big as what we see with baseball cards.
Okay. And does the fact that more and more people create NFTs affect it negatively, or does it benefit the market?
It benefits, really, because we're not devaluing. No one's creating the same piece of art. Okay. Right? The problem with a baseball card, for an example, is if I have that Mickey Mantle card, right, I could have 3 or 4 different people who've issued a Mickey Mantle card. I've got a Topps. I don't even remember all the companies that make baseball cards, but there's like 3 or 4 that used to, right? Well, which one's the most valuable? Well, it just depends on what you're looking for. An NFT is not like that. I can only create one of whatever it is. So if I create an NFT of this pen, right, for as an example, only one ever exists. This pen is the NFT that I've created, and it's only one. I'm not going to have someone reissuing it and 6 different versions, and which one's the right one. Am I looking for a certain coloration on the lid of the pen? No, none of that exists. I'm only focused on just the single item I've created. So the more that are created, the more value there is. And you're always running a limited production. You're not creating, 1,000, a million of these NFTs of this pen. You're creating 100 or 200 of them. And those are the ones that, now, hey, there's only 200. And if you own one, you for sure own the real one and the valuable one, and its value is only going to increase as the market wants it.
Okay, yeah. I would have thought like completely otherwise, like since you were talking about like supply, demand, like if there's too much.
Yeah, but remember, it's limited to just that NFT, just the pen, or just the picture, or just the video. And those are the limited productions. So supply and demand rules are the inverse there, right? There's a limited supply and there could be a huge demand. For Tom Brady, we saw his NFT sell out in under a minute. And there was, I think 3,000 that he produced. It sold out in a minute, something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy because he's such a collectible and desirable person for people to go after.
Yeah.
Whereas, I could produce one and I could say I'm going to produce 100 of them. I may never sell out because no one knows who I am.
Yeah.
But no matter what, there's only 100 that are ever made. It's not like I can go back and reissue more. No. That NFT only exists in that limited production run.
Okay, so you have to set everything like before you release them, or you can't change it.
Yeah, you can't go that red pen is an example, right? I said I want to create 100 of this red pen NFT. Cool, done, no problem. I pay my money. Maybe I never sell out. If I wanted to make another NFT of the same red pen, it's completely different. It's got a completely different number. It's completely different minting. It's a completely different issue size. It's got all different data, even though the physical thing, right? It's a red pen. It's probably very similar, but they're 2 different ones. So now I only have a limited production run of any NFT I create, and the value I can say, hey, this was a first run of the red pen, and that one's worth money. Any second or thirds that you see, even if they're ones that I minted, aren't as valuable because they were done for demand. But the goal here is that we never want to rerun an NFT. If I create an NFT, I make my 100 and that's it. I'm never going to make that again. And by keeping the production limited, I can drive value up.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, and last question. If someone like me that actually knew nothing about it wanted to start collecting NFTs, what would your advice be? Start small. That's what I'm doing, right? I know a lot about them, but I haven't really had the means to go after them until recently. So like I said, all the ones I bought under $50. Okay. I'm trying to spend a small amount, and I'm not buying all of them. I'm not buying every NFT that's out there. I'm buying ones that are meaningful to me, ones that I have interest in, and I'm trying to spend under $50 per. And just like you would with stocks, you're not going to go spend thousands of dollars in the stock market. You're going to buy a couple, see how it does, maybe sell them and buy other ones. That's exactly what I would do with NFTs. Perfect. Well, that answers all of the questions, and I think I understand a little bit more. At least if my friends ask what an NFT is, I can now say like the very general of it. So thank you so much, Steve, for taking the time today and for explaining what an NFT is. Great. Well, have a great day. You too. Thanks so much, Isaac. Bye. Bye. So there you have it. So there you have it. That was our little episode of NFTs. I hope this was helpful for you. It definitely was for me. And if you want to find out a little bit more about NFTs, let me know and I'll do another episode or I'll try to figure it out. In the meantime, you can watch the rest of the episodes. They're in the channel. Please subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye.